So, we will go through and we will grade this. And, I need to get to another sheet before we start. All right, ready? Nope, this one. All right, so, you see how at the bottom there in pinkish it says for each question only write, what's that say? Only write the minuses is what it says, but we're only going to write the pluses instead of the minuses. And put a check mark if it's correct. All right? All right. So, that's how we're going to handle all of these questions. And we're going to go to part 4 first. So everybody turn to part 4. Now, this particular question is worth 6 points. So if you are perfectly correct, you're going to write +6. And then we're going to break it down. Now, I am not going to be overly specific with you about grading, but I will go through the general ways, and we'll write general scores for what we would have done. All right, so they ask us to graph two things. They ask us to graph a of x is equal to 2x squared, and then they ask us to graph b of x is equal to 2x plus 4. And anytime you do a question like this, you should kind of like, when you're doing first aid, you always are told to survey the scene. Check it out. So let's survey the scene here. This is cost on this axis, and it's in terms of hundreds of dollars. And this is the number of products, and it's in terms of hundreds. Yes?
For the last point, I think you put 28 instead of 32. Because we have it on the table as well.
Oh, it should be a little bit higher?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so go on up to 32. All right, so here we go. We're working through this. Now, I graph a of x first, and I want to make sure I put down the whole number values. So 0 is 0, 1, 2, 2, 8, 3, 18, and 4, 32. And I mark those points. Then I look for b of x is equal to 2x plus 4. I realize the slope is 2, the y-intercept is 4, so I begin at 4. Now, when you go up one box, you're really going up 2, because every box is worth 2. And when you go over 5, you're really going over only 1, because it says right here that all of that distance, 5 boxes, is 1. So you should meet right here. Yes?
Did you have to write that on the side?
Write what on the side?
The numbers on the left side?
Well, here's the deal, Spencer. If your graph is perfect, I don't need to see it. However, if your graph is wrong and you don't have it, you're not getting any partial credit.
But you do get partial credit if you have that.
And you graph the points properly.
Okay.
So make it a point to show those. It's very quick and very easy. All right, so now, if your graphs are perfect, let me take a look real quick at this. Oh, I put down here, ready? When you look over the work, if you look at it and go, what the? That's 0 points. If it's mostly wrong but a little bit right, give yourself 2 points. I'm going to make this worth 10. On the real Regents, it would have been worth 6. But for our grading purposes, it's going to be worth 10. Hey,
You got it perfect.
Oh, and we are going to write the minuses. Now I remember why I wanted you to write minuses, because there's a curve built in. All right, so if you have no idea what you wrote down, you get 0. If it's mostly wrong but a little bit right, give yourself 3 out of 10. And you'll judge that in a couple of minutes when you're done looking at the whole question. If it's half right, more or less, give yourself 5 out of 10. If it's mostly right but a little bit wrong, not perfect, you're going to give yourself 8 out of 10. And only if it's perfect will you just give yourself 10 out of 10. So look at this so far, and if your graph is perfect, so far you're perfect. If it's a little bit off, then keep that in mind. All right, now we go to the next page.
Are you writing 10 out of 10 or 6?
Now we go to the next page, which is all this question. State the positive value of x for which the production costs of the two sites are equal. You really should write the answer 2, not 200. But if you wrote 200, I will live with it for this purpose. But after today, make sure you write 2. The reason I say that is I went to a Regents exam with this original question. The numbers have changed slightly. And they said that they wanted to see 2, not 200. So for now, I'll take either one. But if you get one like this on the Regents where they scale it to hundreds or tens or whatever, go with the 2, not the 200. Okay? So that's either right or wrong. There's no way around it. Now, if you had a wrong graph, right? Like, let's say you graphed this one wrong and your graph met here, and you answered 3, that's okay. That's right, give yourself full credit for that part of the graph. If you crossed here and you wrote 1, give yourself full credit. So as long as wherever you crossed on this graph is reflected in this answer, you're good. Now you also have to have an explanation. So basically, the explanation should say something like it's where the points intersected, or the x value where the points intersected. Now, one company plans on manufacturing 300 products per week. Which site should you use? B of X, because the production cost is less. How do you know it's less? Because the B of X graph at 300 is lower. Okay, yes?
If you got the answer right, but the explanation was wrong.
Then, well, let's go back now to, bless you, what we say. Is it what the? Then you're going to write minus 10. If it's mostly wrong, but not right, and mostly wrong, but not whatever, you're going to give yourself 3 out of 10, you write minus 7. If it's about half and half, you're going to write minus 5. If it's mostly right, but let's say you messed up that one explanation, then you would give yourself 8 out of 10. As long as everything else is right, because it's a question as a whole. And if it's perfect 10 out of 10, write minus 0.
So if I got the question before right, I would rate.
You got to look at the whole thing, all right? And see where you land in the whole thing. Yes?
We got all those parts right. Do we just write -0 on the graph?
Just, yeah, write it anywhere you want, because you're going to add up the points too. All right, guys, I will answer them, but let's not go nuts about the what-ifs, because I'll never get through the whole test. Yes?
So I didn't get up to that question, but I did the graph.
Right.
So I put.
Was your graph perfect?
Yeah.
Give yourself 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anthony, question?
Where would we rate the plus? Where would, yeah.
Anywhere you want on the page.
But like the plus something counts for the graph and the x.
Yes, the whole question. And Anthony, instead of writing plus, write minus. So let's say you got 8 out of 10, write minus 2. Okay, you with me on that, bud? Right. All right, so now we're going to keep working backwards here. And now we go into the animal shelter question.
Oh my goodness.
Okay? Now, yeah, we're just going to work completely backwards through the packet, all right? The reason we're working backwards is because some of the kids in third period are going to miss the class for part of the class. Part of it, they'll be here, most of it, and then they're going to help the little fifth graders. So I want to cover the most important questions first, okay? Ready? This is yes or no. 2.35C plus 5.50D equals 9815. It's either right or it's wrong. Then they say, hey, guys, head in the game. Next, they say that on Wednesday they think there's 10 cats and 14 dogs. So you plug in the numbers, see if it checks. It does not check. So the answer is no. Again, it's right or it's wrong. Now we get into how many cats were there. And unfortunately, in changing these numbers, it didn't work out perfectly. So this is how we're going to grade it. If you tried to do the elimination technique and you tried to pair up a variable and you started doing it the right way, give yourself full credit for the rest of it. If you did not try to do that, give yourself no credit for the rest of it.
Wait, what if we also got C as 11?
That's fine. I don't really care. I just care the direction. If you wrote C plus D is 24, and then you tried to pair them up, good enough for me, give yourself full credit. I don't care if you got 11, 10, or 403. Yes?
What if I didn't 20 but I said 11 cats?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
No, because it doesn't work out to 11.
Okay, I actually started doing that. Like,
Yeah.
I can see.
As long as it's on that paper anywhere. If you had it and erased it, give yourself credit. I'm not looking to harm you here. But this is, hey, don't talk. Listen, if you had no idea how to do this, don't go giving yourself credit. You didn't screw up because I screwed up. You screwed up because you screwed up.
I tried it like 11
But,
ways.
but if you tried it the right way, it didn't work, and then you said, oh, I have to go to another plan. That's my fault, not yours. So give yourself full credit, okay? But if you didn't know what to do, don't go giving yourself credit, because that's wrong. Yes?
Could you also plug this in the calculator? Because I tried that too. and I
Yeah,
couldn't
you
figure
could
it out.
plug it in and look for you plug in the two equations, you
Yeah,
solve for
put it in the
one, and,
table.
yeah, and it doesn't work.
That's what I do.
If you did that, that's fine, but you had to make sure you solved for one of the variables when you did. Like, you can't put in C plus D is 24. You have to subtract the 24, and then you have to solve for the C in this one also, in order to do that technique. If you didn't do that, then you're not getting credit. Guys, I'm very scared about you asking me a million questions and we're not getting through this. Yes?
Right, so I didn't get the right answer, but I did show a lot of work.
Did you do the technique I said?
No.
Then, if you used a technique, you could change and solve for substitution. You can line them up and go with it. You could have tried the calculator, solved for the variable, and put both in the calculator. If you did any of those three techniques, give yourself full credit.
Oh, okay.
If you did not do those techniques, do not give yourself credit.
So how much is this worth?
Now we get to the next part. Ready? Oh, hold on. Part 3. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, come on, get over here. Hold it.
How much was that one?
Oh man, wait.
I think
Where?
you're going backwards.
I know I am because I want to see the. Here we go. Ready? Part 3s are worth 8 points each. So watch it now. If it's incoherent, clueless, or what the, 0 out of 8, you would write -8. If you get some of it right but mostly wrong, give yourself 2 out of 8. If you're about half right, about half wrong, give yourself 4 out of 8. So that would be -4. This would be -6. If you're mostly right but you weren't quite perfect, give yourself 6 out of 8, -2. Bless you. If you're perfect, give yourself 8 out of 8. Now that grading standard applies to all of these Part 3 questions. Okay? All right. Now we get to the next one. Hey, in the game. It asks you to write an equation that solves it. So the amount of money on the card N, A of N equals 175 minus 3.25 N. Now, one of the mistakes that I see kids frequently make here is they don't write the A of N equals. They just write 175 minus 3.25 N. That is not an equation. That is an expression. And that is some right, but also some wrong. Okay? Now, the next one. There's a few different ways to do this. I wrote an inequality because what's on the card has to be greater than or equal to 0. And I solved, and I came up with 53 point this, which means I could do it for 53 weeks. But you might have just said 175 divided by 3.25. That's good enough, too. You would have come up with the same 53 point whatever and rounded it to 53. Jordan?
Wouldn't it be n minus 1?
No, it's not n minus 1 because the 175 is the amount on the first week. And each week after that, I take off 325, and n represents the number of weeks. In other words, this is like week 0. Okay? So again, if you wrote n minus 1, I would give you some of the credit for that. It's just not perfect. Okay? Spencer, quickly.
I did everything right. It's just that I wrote 4.25. So would that be like half credit? Instead of 3.25, I wrote 4.
Oh, that would be a stupid mistake. So that would be like you mostly write little wrong.
Okay.
Okay, now, Sarah E. No, I know. I'm afraid we're not going to get through it. But go ahead. It's not just you. There's 3 other hands to go. Come on, quick.
Plugged in 53, it says negative 23.
Then,
Not 46.
no, if 53 is right. Yes.
So, if you put the n minus 1, how would you rate it? Just like,
I would say evaluate the whole thing. And if that's the only thing you did wrong, it's mostly right. Yes.
So, it says assuming the pattern continues, so I thought that you'd start off with 165 because that's where the pattern ended and you're continuing that pattern.
So that would be mostly right. Now, I wrote an inequality and I solved for the number of weeks until the cards would be the same. You don't have to have the same explanation. You could have done 175 divided by 3.25, but you must have an explanation because it says here, explain how you arrived. If you don't put your explanation, we are told, it gives us this little thing, it'll say, no explanation, take off 2 points. Or take off 1 point, whatever they would say, okay? So you look at your work and you decide, is it clueless, is it perfect, is it mostly wrong, is it mostly right, is it about half and half? And then give yourself the correct amount of points, 8 points for the whole problem. Okay? Now, let's go back to the next one. The walkway problem. It says to write an equation. Oh, come on, Bob. Look, hey. This thing times this thing is 224. This is 2x plus 12, the length, times the width. 2x plus 10 is 224. If you had that, it's good enough. Now, you could do more algebra after that, but if you had this, we're good. You wrote an equation. Okay? Now, describe how your equation models this situation. Well, area is length times width, and this is the length, and this is the width, and they're expressed or equated to the whole area. Okay? And now, you have to solve that. In the solution, you should come up with the width is 2. The quick and easy way is to factor it, 8. The quick and easy way is to factor it. You see that they share a 4 in common? Factor out the 4. I'm left with x squared plus 11x minus 26. Now, the thought occurs to me that some of you might not have realized that that's factorable. If you did realize it's factorable, you just rock right through. Very simple. X is 2. Make sure you reject x as negative 13. You must see the x going through it. If not, you can work the quadratic formula, and you get the same exact answer. Make sure you reject the negative 13 because lengths can never be negative. All right? Now, so there's the correct answer. So again, take a look at it. Is it incoherent, like clueless? 0 out of 10. Is it perfect? Oh, 0 out of 8. If it's perfect, 8 out of 8. If it's about half right, half wrong, 4 out of 8, minus 4. If it's mostly wrong, minus 6. If it's a little bit wrong, not quite perfect, minus 2. Okay? Guys, hey, now is not the time to be talking about how to do this correctly. You can always go home, redo it, and look on the internet for the video. All right. Next one. All right. Kristen, are we good here?
Yes.
All right, let's go. Next one. Write an equation that defines m of x as a trinomial where m of x equals this. So this means basically do some algebra. I double distribute. I get it all in one term. I get m of x is equal to negative 5x squared plus 13x plus 3. All right? It must be an equation. It says write an equation. When the kids took this on the Regents, many kids just wrote this, and they did not put m of x equals. Okay? Again, this is just algebra. You just double distribute and then factor in or add in the negative 2x squared plus 15. All right. So then it says solve for x when m of x is equal to 0. And this is the hard part for a lot of kids. Listen very, very carefully because lots of kids screwed this up. It does not say when x is 0. It says what? When m of x is 0. So I have to put the 0 in here. Not for the x's, but in here. So then I put the 0 in for m of x, and it kind of gives you a hint here when it says, if necessary, round your answer to the nearest hundredth. That generally means quadratic formula. So I work through the quadratic formula, and I get 0.94 and negative 1.66. Now, again, look through. Is it completely wrong? Is it completely right? Is it half right? Is it a little more wrong than half? Is it a little more right than half? Yes?
So like when you plug the numbers into the equation, why'd you put 1 like in the parentheses next to 4?
Because, oh, good Lord. I made a mistake. Oh, this is going to affect the answer. Oh, my daily dumb mistake here. Hang on. A should be negative 5. So that would be 20, 100, and that would be 25. I really screwed up. Hold it. This should be 13 squared, which is 169, minus 4 times negative 5 times 3. 169 plus 60 is 229. This should be the square root of 229. And the square root of 229 is, does anybody happen to have that?
I got point, wait, no,
No, that's where I started.
Square root of 229.
It's 15.1.
Okay. All right, 15.13. So I'm going to get negative 13 plus, that's 2.13 divided by, so it's 0.21, negative 0.21, and then 15.23, that's negative 28.23 divided by, negative 2.8 something. Okay, so it should be negative 2.8 something and then whatever I said before that. Okay? So again, Anthony, go ahead.
I think you made a mistake after you did negative 8.
Yes, I did. We just discussed that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we just discussed that, but I definitely did. It works out to like 0.28 and something. Who remembers what I just said?
Negative 0.21 and negative 2.8.
There we go. Okay, Ant? All right, so take a look at your work. And again, it's anywhere from 0 to 8 for that question. All right. Now, let's do the box and whisker plot. It's just a matter of punching these numbers. Hey, we should go very quickly now. Oh, hey, shh, 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 shh. Guys, quiet. Now we're worth 4 points. So this, now with the way we grade, it's a little bit different, because on the real regions, these are worth 2, but I'm just doubling everything. Incoherent, clueless, or what the? 0 out of 4. Perfect, 4 out of 4. If there's anything right, but it's not perfect, it's 2 out of 4. If there's anything wrong, it could be the slightest little picky detail, but it's not perfect, it's 2 out of 4. Okay? So any way you want to slice it. So let's turn to the first page, because we're here already, and let's work our way through it. Danger, danger, danger. We talked about making sure that -3 is not under the radical. Remember we did that on one of those quizzes? So this is how your graph should look. I think I saw 1 or 2 kids who did not move that -3 out from under the radical. Senecal, you might have been one of those?
No, I did it right this time.
Oh, it was the other time you did it? All right.
I did it wrong first and I realized that I did it wrong when I went backwards.
Excellent. Very good. That's called learning. That's what we're looking for. All right. Very good. So give yourself 0, 2, or 4, and write minus, right? Whatever points you should lose. All right. Now, this one is one where lots of kids get half credit. 0.8. Here's the formula. The 0.8 is, where is the formula here? Does your paper have that on there?
No.
Does your paper look like this?
No.
So your paper has the 0.8 there? Yeah, okay, good. I guess I just cut the page there. I must have missed it. All right. Do the easy part. 200 is the initial amount, or the starting amount. All right, that's easy. Every kid should get that right. If you didn't, smack yourself in the head. Next. Next. The 0.8, listen very carefully. 0.8 is the amount that remains over time. It's not the amount that breaks down.
How?
It's the amount that remains.
I said
What's
rate of
right
change.
next
Is
to the
rate of
zero?
change
What's
correct?
right next to the
Yeah, I said the rate
deposit?
of the.
Yes, but listen. It's not, it's what remains. It's not the breakdown. The breakdown is the 0.2. The 0.2 is what you're losing. The 0.8 is what remains. Remember how this is supposed to, in the parentheses, say 1 plus or minus? So if after the minus 0.8 is left, 0.2 is what you had to subtract. So 0.2 is the breakdown. 0.8 is what remains. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Quickly, Spencer.
I said 80% of the whole. Is that like the same thing? That work?
No, because it continually remains. It's closer, but it's not quite there. A lot of kids are going to end up getting 2 out of 4 on this. All right, next. The correct answer is 7, negative 13.
Skip the question.
You skipped 27.
Did I?
Yeah.
All right, what did-
It's on the same page. Just go scroll down.
Oh, okay, I got to scroll down. All right, good. All right, so here we go for 27. Now, hold it. Hold it. I actually screwed this one up too, and I realized it on the other thing. Shh, stop. I'm going to do it right now. Everybody don't talk so I can concentrate. I put it in for A. I should have put it in for X. So that's negative 2 minus A minus 9, which is negative 11 minus 1X. Or I should say minus A. So negative 11 and 11. I get negative A is greater than negative 1. So A is less than 1. And that would mean 0. Okay. All right. So, hey, shh, quiet. If you're perfect, 4. Do anything right. Make us like this would be worth 2 out of 4 because obviously I made a substitution wrong, but there was some work that I did correctly there, and no one should be incoherent. All right. So next, horizontal shift 3 to the right. All right. It says explain, so you got to explain. Now you can explain by graphing both of them, or you could just say to yourself, look, I recognize that it's in the parentheses, so it's horizontal shift, and it means go 3 to the right, so it's 7, negative 13. Again, mark your paper according. Oh, was there one on the bottom of that?
No.
Okay. Okay. Now, graph the line, which I did, and the point is not on the line. So if your line is graphed correctly, and what you do is you just write down that the point 3, 2 is not on the line. You can't check it. It says specifically do it in relation to the graph. You have to say that the point is not on the line. Okay? Again, give yourself the appropriate amount of points, either minus 0, minus 2, or minus 4. All right. Next, Could this be a function? Could this represent f? No. Because 7 is not in the range, yet it's used as a range element here. Anthony?
I said that if x equals 7, then y equals 8. But then what?
All right, you know what?
Like, like,
No, but you don't know that's not true. You don't know that that's true. It could have been 7 and 2. It could have been 7 and 4, 7 and 6, 7 and 8. So if you got the no part right, give yourself half credit. Give yourself 2 out of 4. And then the explanation has to be right for the other 2 out of 4. And now we get to the last part of today.
Wait, what about 31?
Oh, it's another one at the bottom.
Oh, that other one.
All right, factor, keyword.
Oh, no.
Keyword, completely. What does completely always mean?
Half and square.
2 steps. No, it means 2 steps. So, excuse me. The first step is x squared plus 10 times x squared minus 1. Then I have to factor the x squared minus 1, difference of 2 perfect squares, x plus 1, x minus 1. Okay? Again, most people will get either full credit or they'll forget to have done this and they'll get 2 out of 4. All right, and now, last but not least, the box and whisker plot. It is,
There was one all the way in the back. The last question. Yeah, you did.
oh, maybe there's one underneath. Let me just do this one first and then I'll look for that question. Listen very carefully. The box and whisker plot, you must also list the values. Somewhere on your paper, it better say minimum, quartile 1, median, quartile 3, maximum. And then you should have the points graphed correctly. Now, you don't need to use the same scale. Your scale can be a little bit different, okay? As long as they're in the appropriate place on the scale. All right? So again, it's either 0, 2, or 4 out of 4. Now, Sarah E., what are you talking about with that last question?
The one all the way in the back that says part 2, and then it has like the function tx is shown on the table
Yeah,
below.
the last page we didn't go over it.
I don't think I did that one. Tell you what, we'll just let that one pass because
Easy though.
it'll be there.
It's like
All right, so that's good. Then it doesn't make a difference on your grade. Okay, guys, we're running low on time, and we have a couple of things we need to do yet. Yes.
For this question, isn't, for the medium, I got 4.
No, did you put the numbers in the calculator?
Yeah.
Then you put them in wrong.
Um,
Okay? So, and again, that would be, the unfortunate thing about these 2 pointers is that, to me, that's a stupid mistake. It's the kind of thing I would do, it's a careless mistake. But you get just as much credit as someone who knew almost nothing and did one thing right. It's unfortunate with these 2 pointers, but the slightest thing right, you do get a point, which is nice. But the slightest thing wrong and you lose. So either way, you get half credit. That's what I hate about these questions. Yes?
So this last one, how much is it worth? 5, 10?
This question I just did?
No, this one. The one
That
you
was
go-
10. We went over that, AJ.
I fell asleep.
Okay. Now, remember, it was 10, 5, blah, blah, blah. Now add up all your minuses. And on the front of the paper, write minus whatever.
Oh, wait, no, I forgot that.
EJ, stop.
Put minus whatever. Now, I tried to build a curve into this, which would benefit you guys, because it does not add up to 100 points. And that's why we're doing minuses. Now do 100 minus whatever you had there. So if you had 10, I want you to put 90. Okay? Which is generous, because it really should be lower. But that's all right. So you do 100 minus whatever it says there, and you're there. Now, can I ask you a very, very serious, very important question? Do you have a better idea of how they're going to grade your parts 2, 3, and 4?
No.
Do you see the absolute importance? Hey, you can never, ever, hey, look at me, stop writing for a second. You can never, ever, ever quit on a question. You just can't do it. Look here. If these values were wrong, Alexandria got a 4 for her median. If you don't list these values, and then your box and whisker plot is wrong, you get 0 out of 4. But if you list these values, and based on these values, your box and whisker is perfect, you get 0 out of 2, or in this case, you would get 1 out of 2. So if you show your work, even if you have something like that question with m of x equals, and you try something and you do something, you get partial credit. You get some points. So if you ever look at a question and say, I don't know how to get the whole question right, okay. Now the question is, how, based on the way they grade it, can you find a way to chip away and get some points back? Hello? Okay, bye. AJ, you got announcements when the bell rings. Very quickly.
I didn't write the numbers on top, so I didn't say to do that in the question, but I did get a bunch of listers.
1 out of 2. Yes. Or 2 out of 4.
We subtract from 100, that's our grade.
Subtract from 100, that's your grade. Okay, any other questions? Okay, who wants to collect them? Sorry, go ahead, collect them, bring them up. Now you guys can start on today's sheet. Remember, tomorrow we go over the part 1 only, but you may want to start part 2, 3, 4. Spencer, lights.
I love math.
Made my day, Carissa.